Hey guys, how are you? How's everybody doing? Let's see if there is, y'all, I have, this is like my second Instagram live. So please bear with us as we get going with this. Now, let's see. We're going to have a guest with me, and her name is Karen Gresham with Crafty Creations. And let's see if I can get her to come on here because we're going to talk about craft shows. So give me an emoji below if you do craft shows. And literally a storm has just started coming through here, so hopefully I don't lose connection or anything. Give me a, let's see. Let me get her on here. This works. And then I'll do a formal introduction. Thank y'all for joining us tonight. Let's see, I've requested her to come in. There she is. Hey, Karen.
Hello, I made it here.
Yay. Y'all, this is a first for both of us. We are just exploring all things Instagram. First, okay, let me introduce you to Karen Gresham, owner of Crafty Creations Wreath Shop. Karen, you are located in North Carolina? Nope, Alabama.
I am in Opelika, Alabama. That's right.
Alabama. Okay. So she's in Alabama. She is in my mastermind group, and she's also in the inner circle. And she started talking about how successful her craft shows are. I'm talking like thousands of dollars a day. I mean, right, thousands, high thousands a day. And I'm like, oh, let's talk about this a little bit more. And I wanted to bring her on just to introduce her to everybody, and then also to sort of go over one of the biggest questions people ask about craft shows. So in our Success Circle group, we did a whole hour talking about craft shows, gave many tips. But one of the biggest tips people were asking was how many wreaths or how many items should I bring to my craft show? Because it's very disappointing, y'all, when you attend a craft show, and raise your hand if this is you attend a craft show and you see some of these booths that clearly do not have enough product, and therefore they're not going to do well. So as beginners for craft shows, I feel like we tend to hold back because we're scared. So we're like, let's just bring the minimal amount. And when we do that, we really set ourselves up for failure. I have not done a craft show. I'm going to be very honest with you. I'm only on Etsy. I knew from the get-go that I'm an introvert, and I just, being around a lot of people in the heat just does not appeal to me. Karen, however, has been. So y'all, welcome Karen. Give Karen a little, follow on her Instagram as well. And then let's go through it, Karen. Okay, so let's talk about how many, I'm going to try to watch comments. They're coming in fast. Let's talk about how does, okay, somebody's done the research. They know that they've got a craft show that's going to be successful. It's going to, they're going to have a lot of traffic. How do they know how much inventory to bring?
That's a great question, and it's also one that I get a lot. So there are a couple different ways that you can figure out how much inventory you should bring. But I want to emphasize, when you're planning your inventory and what you're going to bring, plan for multiple price points. It's very important because you want to reach a customer in all the price points if you can. So one of the things that I hear from crafters, and maybe they only take one size or one style of wreath, and then maybe that just doesn't suit for somebody, but they would have loved a bow, or they would have liked a big elaborate wreath, and maybe you didn't have one. So go ahead and plan for that, and kind of have a little bit of variety for everybody. And then when you're thinking about how to price your items, I'm going to tell you about 3 different ways, and I'm going to kind of hurry through so that we can make it in our time frame here. So
Yeah, and I've got a storm coming, so I'm like, oh my
okay.
gosh, I'm in the garage. Y'all know I'm in the garage.
Yes, yes.
I'm writing notes. All right,
Okay.
and then you have a blog post. Is that
I,
correct that we can
I did put
share?
out a blog post.
After this is over, we're going to post the blog post, and you guys can get some more of this in writing.
Okay, great. So the first method is based on your vendor fees. And this one is interesting to me. It's not the one I use, but I could see where this could be very effective. So your target would be to take 8 to 10 times more product than your entry fee. So let's just say your fee was $50. So that way your sales goal, if you did 10 times that, your sales goal for that show would be $500 in sales. So then you would need to figure out the price of your product and how much product you would need to make that 500 sales. But I want to put a point out here that I should have put at the beginning. Before you even figure out your sales, you got to figure out what the cost of that show is for you, because you want to make the cost of your show plus your sales, because you want to have that cost covered, and then you want to have some gravy on top, right? So
your cost would include your travel expenses. Am I?
All right, Julie, you got the circle of death going there. Are you back?
Oh
I
my
think you're back.
gosh, am
You're
I
back.
back?
You're back. Okay, you're back.
Okay.
Okay, so your costs include your show cost, which is your entry fees. If you had to get a hotel, your lodging. If you have to pay a helper, the cost of your helpers. If you have to buy your meals, you figure that in. Your insurance, if you have show insurance, figure that in. Your inventory, your cost of your goods and all of that's going to be in your overall business profit. So I don't really count that. If I take 500 wreaths, I'm not going to factor in the cost of all those wreaths, so to speak. I mean, you would if you wanted to get real down nitty gritty, but if you do your formulas and get your sales, that's going to cover those costs of those goods sold. So in your profit, you want to find your profit point, and that's going to be when you recoup your show fees, you recoup your lodging and meals and your travel, your gas, all of that. You recoup any kind of pay that you had to pay for help, and then in your insurance. And then let's just say for a $50 show, let's just say your show costs were, I don't know, $350. So you would want, if you're in that formula I told you, if you're using vendor fee, you would do $50 times 10, give you your 500, but your show cost is $350. So you really want to make 800. You want to bring enough to make 850. That's your minimum there, $850.
So
Does that make sense?
just to clarify, before you even make a profit, you've got to make sure you bring enough product to break even. And
That's right.
Okay.
That's right. So that's why, and you'll see that usually your entry fees, your vendor fees, your show costs, you would want to look at this and know that the smaller shows should have a smaller cost if they don't have as many people coming. And that's why some of those great big shows that you see that are 3, 4, 5 day shows, it may cost you $3,000 just to get in it at your profit point. Then you got to make your sales over and above that. So those, I'm not at that level yet. I'm not that brave to do multiple day shows like that. But I know that this method would work for that as well. So
you've only done the 1 day shows.
Well, I do a 2-day show.
Okay.
My most favorite shows to do are 2-day shows because it's just a lot for me. I usually get 2 booths, and it's a lot. It takes me about 6 hours to set up. If I'm going to set up and take that kind of time, I want to at least be there 2 days. But I do have a few 1-day shows, but I don't set up as big for those.
Okay.
So,
okay.
Okay.
All right.
All right. So
please bring enough product to make your profit point, to pay off your profit point, and then what?
Okay, and then you would double like that entry fee. If you're going to use that vendor fee formula, you double that vendor fee, the entry fee. Let's say it was $50. So you would double that $500 in product plus your profit point, and then that'll tell you how much product to bring. That to me seemed a little complicated, a lot of figuring. So, but it is an effective method.
Okay.
Another method you can use is based off your sales goals. I mean, you just figure, what is it going to take for you to want to pack all that up and get out of the house? This one's kind of more of a not a structured format. Just know, hey, I want to go to this show and I'm going to set a goal. I'm going to sell $5,000. Well, you got to take enough product to sell $5,000. So if you wanted to make $5,000, then you would need to bring, I would recommend you bring double, because you're only going to sell to part of the population. So statistics show this.
That's another great point. You always bring more
Mm-hmm.
than what you want to sell, because people like options, right?
That's right. They do. Just think about going and buying shoes. You want more than 3 choices in a shoe. You want that whole store full. So yes, bring more than you want to sell, because the statistics are the conversion on sales is 1 to 3% of the traffic. So if they're advertising that their show brings in 8,000 people, you're going to anticipate a conversion, a sale, 1 to 3% of that population. So anyway, so bring more. So the sales, just figuring it by setting a goal, that's to me is the easiest, but it doesn't always account for, you got to remember, you got to break even first. So if you set that sales goal, is that sales goal 5,000 over your break even? So remember to bring that break even product as well. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I like that. A lot of people, they don't really think of the business side of it. They just want to do well, and they don't stop to think about every little thing that it took to get there, the cost wise. And then the first sales that you make off the top have to go to recoup your cost. So I like that. And I like that you're also giving us numbers like 1 to 3% of the traffic can convert in your booth. So that's something really important to consider too, even when you're choosing what show to go to, because you don't want to go to a show that's brand new and a lot of people haven't heard about it, or maybe you don't want to go to a show that's been around a long time, but it's dying and it's not getting the traffic it used to. So paying attention to all that is super important.
And I also, this isn't in my notes, but it just came to my head. You're going to have to set yourself a budget at the show, because what you're going to want to do is you're going to look across the way and you're going to smell and see that, that barbecue sandwich over there is going to smell real good. Or you're going to see somebody walk by and they're going to have a hot apple pie with ice cream on top. And you're really like,
well, what about another vendor you want to buy something from, like a piece of jewelry?
Yes, I spied across the way. So at one of my shows across the way from us, there was a candle vendor, and it was the dough bowl with the candles in it. Oh, and yeah. I sat there and I looked at that for a day and a half before I went over and bought it. But but you set yourself a budget, because that's going to come out of your costs. And I found, especially when my son was my helper, I had an extraordinarily high food budget for that show. and then I had to say, okay, we're not spending a whole lot of money on the food, but no, just know that those costs can add up while you're there, especially if it's a slow show, because you'll find yourself shopping the show. So, but that's a lot of fun, and it's important to go around and talk to your neighbors and your vendors and support them as well. So, all right. Okay. Let's see, the other method that you can use to figure how much inventory to take is based on the attendance numbers. Like I mentioned earlier, 1 to 3% of the sales, or the attendance, 1 to 3% of the attendees should convert, statistically speaking, to a sale. So back to the example where we said maybe they're advertising 8,000 people will come to the show. Well, if you figure 1% of that, let's just be conservative, and because you're thinking, how in the world will I make that much product? So just being conservative, let's go with 1%. So 1% of that would be 80 wreaths, or 80. For me, it's wreaths for 80 items.
Right. So for us wreath makers, it could be bows, it could be lantern swags, it could be arrangements, it could be wreaths, it could be teardrop swags. But yeah, in that niche. Okay.
Okay. So 80 items, that would get your your 1%. And then you would need to figure out what is your average price point for that. If you wanted to know how much you could anticipate making at that sale, because that's important too. Because you want to look at that and say, is this show worth it for me to go to? Do I think I can make this? You would look at your average price. Let's just say your average price is $97. Okay. So let's say your average price of your wreaths, or let's say we're going with wreaths and florals, and your average price is $97. So if you sold that, you could anticipate $7,760 in sales on that show. And that would give you, that's conservative. And that would give you a great feeling for, is that show worth it? But then let's back that up. To get that, we had to sell 80 items at that of an average. An average isn't $97 for all 80 items. So that tells you you've got to have more than that 80. I would at least double it and have 160. At least double, if not triple, just depending on the makeup of, are you going to have 100 bows at $20 and 80 wreaths? You have to sell a whole lot of bows to get your average price at $97.
Right.
See what I'm saying?
Yes.
If you took 80 wreaths, and then, or if you took 100 wreaths and 80 bows, you'd have a better chance of making that. So you got to look at, where's your price point in that, and then take enough inventory to triple so that you meet that sales goal.
And it's a lot of math.
It is. You thought you weren't going to use math anymore when you got out of school, but
don't do well with math.
yes. So for me, I just figure, and I always freak out before the show thinking I don't have enough, and oh my God, I gotta make more. So I consider all that, and then my husband tells me, think logistically. You can only make what you can make. And once you're done baking, the worst that can happen, what could happen? What is your greatest fear? For me, it would be that I sell out.
Yeah, that would be my biggest fear too.
And he says, so you sell out. Well, okay, great. You're going to have all of that in sales. And then you figure out what is your backup. You can take orders, or you can walk around and shop. So,
yeah.
And he helped me realize it wouldn't be the end of the world if I sold everything. He said, do you realize how many people would give their right eye tooth to sell out? And you're worried about it?
I would always walk away going, I left money on the table. Mm-hmm. Surely I could have sold one more if I had it.
Right.
But
right. And I feel that way sometimes.
Point.
Yes, I feel that way sometimes with like sunflower wreaths. They always sell here in the South. Sunflower wreaths are going to sell. So I'll make 7 or 8, and they'll usually sell right away. And then I'm like, man, why didn't I make more of those? Man, I could. But don't get caught in that, because it's a myth. People will.
There's a question we have. Harold says, do you recommend taking like showstopper pieces to potentially help you cover more? So in other words, average is 97. Do you take like some really big designer pieces that are over the top? And if they sell, then do they sell well? Would be a question.
They will. They will sell. I will tell you this. I have learned that I don't put my showstoppers right out in their face. I kind of put them a little bit back. And the reason I do that, I found I sold fewer things if I put them right out front because people would be scared by the price point and think that everything in my shop was out of their reach. So if you can mix it with a few other things and kind of have it they see your product and then their eye goes, oh, wow.
So maybe
That's
if you
when I
had it
started
more
selling them.
in your booth so that they see it and then they're maybe gravitate more towards inside the booth to see more items. Okay.
Yes. Yes. I mean, don't hide it completely and don't be ashamed to ask, have a showstopper and price it accordingly. You will be surprised. It will sell. I mean, the first time I sold a wreath at a craft show that was $157, I like to ran around the show just going, that's what I was doing on the inside. Outside, I was calm, cool, and collected. But yeah, you fear that, and there are going to be shows that are good for you, and there are going to be shows that aren't so good, and you just take and learn from those shows. And somebody I think posted their fear would be not selling anything.
I think a lot of people have that fear.
And I had that to start with, and I had a show where I sold nothing. But I took some orders. I mean, I got a little bit of a sale. There's always something that you'll learn and that you can take away.
That's one of the main things you said when we were interviewing yesterday in the Success Circle group was that no show is a failure. You always learn from your experience. There's always something you can take away from it and redo so that the next time you're more successful with that. But I'm going to tell you guys, for one thing, fear, that's just a thing you got to work through. Everybody's fearful. I'm fearful doing this right now for the first time. I'm fearful for when I first started Etsy, when I first did a Facebook Live. I mean, there's always that fear. And it doesn't mean that the people who are doing these things are less scared than you. They just choose to do it anyway. And that's the only way to get through fear. You gain confidence by just doing it. So do it scared.
And I'll tell you a secret that I have that helps me, and it may help some of our listeners. I take ribbons and my bow maker, and I make bows at the show. And number one, it draws people in. They want to see what you're doing. But the number two thing, it calms my nerves. And the more nervous I am, the more bows I'll start cranking out. So you can tell, if you come to my show, you can tell how nervous I am by the amount of bows I've got working out and putting out there. But, and I do fear, running out. I do fear not selling anything. But I do know one thing to be true. If it stays in your garage and it never moves out of your garage, it will never sell. Not that I would call you out or anything. So, so you gotta try it. Give it a shot. Start small. I did. I started very, very small, and I gained some confidence as I went on. Talk to the vendors around you. Find out where they think good shows are. And just give it a try. Give it a try. But take a variety. Make a lot. I do make duplicates, especially for a 2-day show. So, and that can be intimidating to think, oh my gosh, I got to make 100 wreaths. Well, guys, you don't have to make 100 individual unique wreaths. You can make 5 or 6 of the same one and rotate it around. And once one of them sells, go back to the car, go back to the truck and get a new one and bring it out. And that really helps a little bit with the overwhelm when you know that you can make multiples of something. And then that way also, when they come and say, but I've got double doors, you can say, yeah. And I've got 2 wreaths for you. So,
I love That's true, because I think a lot of people do, and it's easier to make multiples. I mean, if you're making one, it's easier to make 4 more to go with it than
Hmm.
it is to create a whole nother design of
Hmm.
4. So that's very true.
And then I'll also make a variation of a design. Maybe I will use the same mesh and the same sign, the same ribbon, but I won't put any accents in it. And it'll be at a lower price point. And then the next level up is that same wreath plus florals and ornaments and different things. So that can also help you too. You can make some basics and then you can add to them. And it's still the same color theme, the same design,
I like
and helps
that.
you
So
use up
they're
product.
drawn to the color combination, but yet they might not be able to afford the whole shebang. And you've got an option for them that would be in their price point, and it still gives them that overall look
Mm-hmm.
that they were looking for.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So, and I look at too, I don't make alterations when I'm at the show. You would be surprised at the number of people and say, well, I really like this, but can you take the sign out of that one and put it over in this one? Like, no, so sorry. I
So
can't
at
do
that point, you
that.
just custom order
That's right. That's when you come in with that custom order pad and take your payment at the show
for custom orders. Get their
for a
payment up
custom
front.
order. That's right. And you might not know shipping because you may have to ship it because like the one of the shows that I do, it's a good ways from my home. So most of the customers I do have to ship it. But go ahead before you go to the show, go ahead and look in your UPS or whatever your shipping calculator and put that zip code in there and kind of get a feel for if I had to ship to somebody in that area, it's going
A
to run
24
me,
or 8 box. What would that be? Oh, that's a great
what would
tip.
that be? And then be comfortable saying, okay, this is going to be your price plus shipping. And they'll say, well, how much is shipping? And you say, it's going to be $24 to ship it. And they'll say, oh, okay. And you just go right with it. Now it may cost you $26 to ship it when it comes down to it, or it may cost you less, but you quoted them that price. They agreed to that price. And that's what you just be comfortable with it
Be
and get the sale.
confident. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And
Yeah,
get your sale.
if you start to like look like you're unsure, or even if you have that look like, yeah, I know that's a lot of money for shipping, if they can see all of that on your face and then they start questioning what they're doing there, so
Right.
you got to be very confident and excited to make that sale.
And if you already know that, what it will cost, you just come across as more professional and that you have done it before and that you're ready for them. And they'll be more confident in making that sale with you. And then on your, I always take on my custom form, I be sure you get their phone number because you want to send them a text, send them a picture of it before you ship it. Say, hey, I got it finished and here it is. Is there anything else I can include with this for you? Such as a bow, something to go with it. And then that way you've got their information, you've got their address, you've got their email, and you've got their phone number, and write a good description of what they say that they want. I've
So you
even
don't forget.
I've even taken pictures. If they say I want one just like this, I will take a picture of it and I will put a note on that picture for such and such, so that I can reference back. Because after you do a 2-day show and you see, I don't know, 200 or 300, 400 people come through, it's really hard to remember when you get back home.
So Peggy has a good point. So she would bring a lookbook. I'd assume that would be the the items she's selling or can do custom orders with. And she'll put a QR code right on that page. So when they're in the book, flipping the page, she can just scan that QR code and immediately pay
That's
with that.
wonderful. Great idea.
Yeah, I like that idea. Great, Peggy. Is it storming where you are? We are getting a really bad storm.
It's not here. I got
She's close.
sunshine.
She lives close to me, so I knew it's
Oh,
probably.
okay.
Oh, let's see. Did you have any other tips for how many items to bring? I mean, that's a lot of information.
That was a lot. Really, I just think, the three ways. First, determine what your profit point is. Find out what your profit point is, and then pick a way. You can do it by, 10x in your vendor fee. You could do it based off of just picking a sales goal and meeting that, and then you can do it off of 1 to 3% of the anticipated attendees. Those are the three ways. And I think you have to trial and error and see which way works for you. Yeah, just give it a try and take multiple price points. Those would be kind of everything.
Okay, I'm trying to paste in your link, and now it's not letting me. So to go to your blog, can you type that in on your end, or does it have to be me?
I think I can do it. I wish I had figured out how to copy and paste. I wish I'd figured out how to pull it up on my computer and see I can only see it on the phone, right?
Yeah, I was just thinking I copied it, but now it's not pasting out of the Voxer chat. So I'm going to type in your handle is at Crafty Creations Wreath Shop on Instagram.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so Crafty Creations Wreath Shop
So that's you. Okay, that's you. And then maybe what you can do is on your Instagram feed, post an image or something with the link, or is it at craftycreationswreathshop.com?
It is. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So
it is.
Y'all can go to Crafty Creations Wreath Shop. I'm scared if let's see, will it pause it?
I'm fixing to have it here just a minute for us. /5.
Let's see, the lookbook helps you showcase more inventory. Oh, so Peggy is with the lookbook is saying you've got more inventory you can showcase if you didn't, don't want to bring it all. That's good.
A great idea.
And then y'all have any questions for her while she's getting that link?
Y'all can see I'm trying to type it in. And I got to look under my glasses because I'm old.
So VATHOM98 says that she had a bad location when she was at a show one time beside a pizza truck. And she had a lot of diesel fumes. So yeah, if you can get in early, one of the tips she shared with us was in the Success Circle group was to make sure you get in early to these shows, even a year in advance, and then you can have sort of top pick for locations.
Okay, I think I posted it. I think.
Crafty.
Oh no.
Okay, hold on. Let's see if this works. There it is.
Okay. So yeah.
What do they have on there? What do you have? Like if they go there, you've got way more information, right, than what we discussed.
Yeah, I go into more detail on each of the tips. So today we just talked about pricing. I go into how to find a show. I go into, how do you create an inviting booth, how to be prepared, kind of what to bring. I talk about sales strategy and then analyzing your success once the show is done. And then for like the lady who had a bad booth space. So for that, you learned from that. Before you leave the show, I would, in a show like that, I go find my my show coordinator. A lot of shows, they'll make their rounds, and you can say, talk up how much you love the show and you enjoyed being there, but would it be possible to get a different spot? Hey, I noticed that over there is, and if they see that you're bringing in the traffic and people are shopping your booth, they will give you a primo spot for the next show because they want what you're bringing.
I gotcha. I like that.
Mhm.
Great tip. Great tip. All right,
Okay.
guys, I don't see any other questions. Head over to her website, Crafty Creations, wreathshop.com for more information on craft shows. Also, let me know if you enjoyed this video, if you'd like to see more content like this. I am trying to do some more Instagram lives. And I saw somebody, they said they liked this type of content over here on Instagram, trying to educate you, not to be afraid to start your own business if you haven't, or if you are and you need assistance, come to me. We've got some lots of help for you guys. Okay. Um,
And guys, if you are not in Julie's Success Circle, y'all check it out and get in there because I have grown so much as a crafter and my business has grown with Julie's help, support, leadership, and just mentorship. So if you're not in Julie's group, y'all, come join us. Thank you, Julie, for the opportunity.
You're welcome. And you guys, if you just go to howtosellhandmade.com, howtosellhandmade.com, and it'll link you to the sales page for Success Circle Group. And you can ask, or just reach out to me here in the DMs, and I'll be glad to direct you to that or answer any questions for you guys. Okay. Thank you guys for joining us. And thank you, Karen, for doing this for my audience. And you guys go give her a follow over on Instagram. And make sure to check out her website and join her mailing list and all the good things. Okay. And then, now I got to figure out how to cancel this. Stop this. Let's see. Let's see. And then y'all have a happy 4th of July too. All right. Let's see. I'm going to have to. Okay. So let me figure this out. All right. That's not it. That's not it.
The fun.
You want to end the live. Okay, that's it. Bye, guys.